Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie.
Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown and Dunkirk, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. For more information on how the CCIDA can assist your business, visit choosechq.com.
From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives, to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives.
The Hofbräu House in downtown Buffalo invites all our friends from Chautauqua County to experience craft beer, Bavarian food, and live entertainment. Check us out on our Facebook page and website for family-friendly events throughout the year.
From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Randy. I'm back for Doc Hamels, which will be back next week. He's in, last I knew, Germany, so he's all over the world. So just recovering after a beautiful parade last week in Mayville. It was supposed to rain. It never did. And the crowd came out. We're celebrating 250 years of the United States. So I'm not going to say too much. Next week I'll be off. I'm going to go to Jamestown for an airport open house, which I grew up in Jamestown, so biked up to the airport all the time. So this is a live call-in show. You can call in, and our number is 716-753-5225, and you can see it on your screen. If you have any news you'd like to send us or anything, you can send it to, who are we? Chautauqua Sunrise at gmail.com. I'm just having fun trying to read my notes. We're also on social media. Today we're live on Facebook, and the rest of the week we'll be on the TV, and we'll also be later today on YouTube, where you can watch us till YouTube says bye-bye. So, if you're in the Jamestown area, we're going to be live, or not live, we're going to be recorded. We're going to play on the radio on WRFA. It's in Jamestown at 1 o'clock on Tuesdays. So they'll play this show, and you can listen to me on the radio, and don't crash. We're also teamed up now with Collaborative Children's Solutions, CC Solutions, 716@gmail.com. They're a station in Jamestown. They go on the internet, and I think they're mostly students that run this station. I've seen pictures of it, and we've had Pat on the show, and looks like a really nice place to go see. And So if I've forgotten anything, Jeff, just pop it up. Okay, now you get to laugh. I am going to try to read the announcements and not get stuck this week. Infinity Art Show opens July 10th, and I think it runs through most of July. If you look on the poster we have on the screen there, it's got the times. They're proud to present their annual juried student art show hosted by Pearl City Clay House. The show kicks off with opening receptions on Friday, July 10th, which has happened already, from 5:30 to 7 at the Pearl City Clay House Gallery, located at 220 East 2nd Street in Jamestown. The reception is free and open to the public. This year's exhibit features original works by Infinity students, artists of all age, including sculptures, illustration, painting, and more. The show offers a vibrant and inspiring snapshot of the creativity being nurtured inside Infinity's classrooms. Art gives you young people a powerful way to express themselves, build confidence, and connect with others, said Infinity's executive director, Shane Hawkins. Infinity is committed to creating opportunities for our students to grow as artists and individuals. Our student art show gives students the chance to experience what it's like to exhibit their work in a professional gallery. We invite the community to join us. And if you want to get hold of Infinity, go to www.infinityperformingarts.org. And you can get more information on this and all the other programs they have. What begins as a quiet game of gin soon reveals far more than either player intended. In the gin game, the Pulitzer Prize-winning drama turns a deck of cards into a battle of wit, memory, and hidden words. See it at Lakeshore Center for the Arts, New York, on July 17th, 18th, 19th, 24th, 25th, and 26th. And you can get tickets for this play. Go to don't go to Infinity. Go to Lakeshore Center for the Arts, and you click on their calendar and find the dates and click on one, and it has a way to order a ticket. They have about a 35-seat theater. It's awesome. I just was there a couple of weeks ago for a play, and they do a really good job. So sign up and go and see it at Lakeshore Center for the Arts. Next week, I'm going to be here. Jeff, slide 17. They're having the Alan D. Fuller Memorial Flying Scholarship Incorporated. As you know, we're hosting an event July 18th, 2026, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., where pilots will judge antique cars and classic cars, and the drivers will judge airplanes. So this is a little different. It's going to be antique cars. They're going to look for the most pleasing plane and car, and the least visually appealing plane and car. Do you have an awesome looking bike or a less appealing bike? Is your bike older than dirt, like me? Oh, how long is your flight? How long was your flight here? Well, they're gonna, I think, judge on how far you flew to get to Jamestown. We even have an award for the farthest flown to attend. If you know someone who pilots an unconventional aircraft, we'd love for them to join us. Lots of awards to hand out for planes, cars, and bikes. Plus, take a flight with Great Lakes Flight Center or take a super cool flight on Whiskey 7 If you look at the top of the picture there, you're going to see W7. They're out of Geneseo. I've been inside it, but I've never flown on it, and it would be quite a ride, I think. Flying clubs that are specific to the airplanes your group flies, Cessnas, Vans, Aircrafts, Mooney, Piper J3, etc. We have awards for you as well. Let's see how many can show up at the event. The time and the most attending will receive an award. And there's going to be food there. They're going to have a chicken barbecue, hot dogs, hamburgers by Archie's, the restaurant they have at the airport now. And coming down to Jamestown, I think Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program is here. This free program provides you with a coupon book valued at $25 to spend at the farmers market and farm stands. One per person per season on a first-come, first-served basis. Who is eligible? This program is for those 60 and older living in New York State with income, a household size of 1, can make $2,461 a month. A household of 2 can make up to $3,336. When and where? It's Wednesday, July 8th, which is over at the Dunkirk Farmers Market. July 11th today at the Jamestown and Fredonia markets. If you're unable to attend yourself, call in advance to ask about having a proxy to 716-661-8940. I'll see you there. And we have a phone call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. It's Jefferson Westwood from the Dunkirk Fredonia Rotary Club.
Hi, how are you?
Terrific. Thanks for having me on. I'm calling to let you all know, and all your listeners and viewers know, about the 59th annual fly-in breakfast happening at the airport in Dunkirk on Sunday, the 26th of this month.
Sounds good. I've been trying to get out there. I haven't made it yet. But so what all do you have going on besides breakfast?
Yes. Well, let me tell you the menu first, because
Okay.
A, it's all you can eat. It's pancakes, sausage, coffee, eggs, scrambled eggs, tea, milk, juice, all for only $12 adults.
Oh, gee, that's a
$6
good deal.
kids, and kids 2 and under are completely free. And lots of other stuff going on as well. One of the things that's the first time we've done it is we have the Civil Air Patrol with 2 of their ground-based flight simulators, where you'll have a chance to sit right at the controls with the, I don't know what they call it on an airplane. It's like a steering wheel. You know?
The rudder? No, the rudder's
I think it's
the
called
steer.
the stick, or something like that, but also the foot controls, and then you see the impact of on a big TV screen of what you're making the airplane do, so you have no worry about actually crash landing. So they'll be giving demonstrations of that. That's totally free. We'll have a 50-50 drawing. There's also what we call the famous basket raffle. We've been collecting raffle baskets for the last 5 months, and there's going to be lots of interesting combinations of things. And in addition, the flight school that operates out of both the Dunkirk Airport and the Jamestown Airport will be giving what they call discovery flights. There is a fee for that, but if anybody has ever thought about wanting to earn a pilot's license, this is a way to get a first-hand look at that. Those will be offered by Dave Hines, who's the operator of the Great Lakes Flight School that operates out of both airports. And then one of the most exciting things about the whole morning is the appearance of a restored World War II Douglas C-47 aircraft named Whiskey 7, and it's coming to us with the financial courtesy of Gugino and Ryle Financial here in Fredonia, but it is coming from the National Warplane Museum in Geneseo, New York.
I've seen Whiskey 7 a few times. I have never flown on it. I've been inside it. It's like walking up. It's like walking up a hill.
Yeah, they're giving the free tours. I mean, everybody will have a chance to go on it and see it and learn about it. It's a very historic plane. It was originally, I should say, after it left service in World War II, it became a passenger airplane. Can't remember for what airline, but during the war, it was the lead plane on the second wave of Allied forces dropping paratroopers in Normandy behind German lines. And on the 70th anniversary of D-Day, it actually flew back to Normandy and recreated its original flight path from Great Britain to over Normandy, and current American paratroopers dropped out, recreating that historic part of D-Day. It's a very exciting plane, especially for anybody who's interested in World War II history or the history of aircraft. And one other thing that will be happening that we've just learned about is the FAA, that's the Federal Aviation Administration, is going to be presenting 2 essentially Lifetime Achievement Awards to Lou Nalbone, who's a local guy, retired now, but for a very long time he ran the Dunkirk Airport and the flight school that operated out of there. He was what they call in the airport business a fixed-based operator, because the airport, both the one in Dunkirk and the one in Jamestown, are actually owned by the county, but on a day-to-day basis they're sort of leased out or engaged to an outside third party to operate, to do the fuel and maintain the grounds and the hangars and be the liaison with the people who keep their airplanes in the hangars and so forth. That's Centric Aviation, and they've only had the contract for the last several years, but Lou had it for many, many years before that. Mm-hmm. He will be receiving 2 awards, the Wright Brothers Master Pilot Award and the Charles Taylor Master Mechanic Award. Each of these recognizes distinguished people who have had over 50 years of service, first as a licensed pilot, and that's what the Wright Brothers Award is for. And the Charles Taylor Master Mechanic Award goes to somebody who has been a certified operating airplane repair person and mechanic for over 50 years. And only 4,000 people in the country have received that Charles Taylor Award. About 10,000 have received the Wright Brothers Award. And that award will be physically presented to Lou at 11 o'clock on Sunday the 26th in hangar number 2. We're serving breakfast in hangar number 1. So that's a lot of stuff we have going on.
Yeah, so let's give the date one more time.
Sure. Sunday, the 26th of July, that's in a couple of weeks. If people want to find out more, they can go to our website, which is a rather long string of characters, but it's simply DunkirkFreedoniaRotary.org. Dunkirk Fredonia Rotary is all one word, all one string of characters, uppercase, lowercase, doesn't matter. And we have complete details there, including the opportunity to link to the site of the National Warplane Museum in Geneseo, who is selling and operating the Whiskey 7 flights. And then also they could buy breakfast tickets there as well.
Excellent.
So lots going on Sunday the 26th, and thank you for having us on today.
Thanks for calling in. You guys
My
have
pleasure.
a great day, and I hope
day.
you have a big turnout.
I think we will. We've had over 1,200 people before.
Oh, my gosh.
And all we need now is good weather. We have our
Yes.
fingers crossed for good weather.
Well, good luck, and I think people are going to be out for that, because
Thank you
like
very
me,
much.
I love airplanes. Well, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
You too. Now that sounds fun too. It's like the next week after Jamestown, and as I say, I grew up living by the airport about a mile or 2, and we'd bike up there. I could have been much more than 12 or 13. I took my first plane ride. A friend of mine and me went up, and it's like $3.07 tax, and they took us around the lake. I think we went up like the next day and did it again. So that was my start of flying. Before that, I was scared to death. My parents won tickets one time at Gold Star in Lakewood for free plane rides, but I wouldn't go. I was a chicken, so I stayed at my cousin's and waved at every airplane that went by, and it was like all of a sudden they drive up the street. You survived. But it's a great time. The kids have done the free airplane rides and stuff. So, okay, we'll get back here. I got a couple more announcements. Joseph P. Dwyer Peer Support Program is excited to partner with Veterans for Christ to offer a relaxing afternoon aboard a scenic country train ride. Hi, everybody. The Joseph P. Dwyer Peer Group will be excited to partner for this on Sunday, July 12th, tomorrow. Yes. Event details, departure location, Gowanda train station, 50 Commercial Street, Gowanda, New York. Boarding pass is issued at 1:30. Train departs at 2 p.m. Route Gowanda to South Dayton and back. This event's open to veterans and active duty military, with each participant welcome to bring one guest. I'll go. Please note that there are only 72 tickets available. No registration or reservations will be taken. Boarding passes will be distributed on a first come, first served basis, beginning at 1:30 at the Gowanda train station. Okay, let's go to Gowanda. We encourage you to arrive early if you'd like to attend. Whether you're looking to enjoy the scenery, spend time with family or friends, or connect with other veterans, we hope you'll join us for this great afternoon. If you have any questions, feel free to reach Drianne at the Dwyer Group, 716-781-8861. Wes, Veterans for Christ, 716-640-9883. And we hope to see you there. And just for one thing, this train was used in the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And yeah, it's a famous train. Okay, now we're going down to talk about the Safety Village. Joint initiative empowers Dunkirk families with life-saving fire safety tools. Dunkirk, the Chautauqua Safety Village, and the American Red Cross are proud to announce a new collaboration launching a high-impact fire study initiative supported by a generous grant from the Northern Chautauqua Community Foundation, NCCF. This pilot project bridges the gap between simulated safety training and active home preparations. Reduce fire tragedies in Dunkirk. This spring, 138 first graders from Dunkirk schools 3, 5, and 7 attended fire and traffic safety training at the Safety Village facility, gaining the knowledge and skills needed to safely escape a home emergency. Students practice what they learned in simulated equipment improvement and response to emergencies. To bring these lessons to life, CSV, the Red Cross, and NCCF partnered this week to distribute critical safety resources directly to these. And get a hold of trying to find a phone number here. But you get a hold of the Chautauqua Safety Village, I think, for more information, or you can get a hold of
Probably the Red Cross, too.
the Red Cross, and you can get more information on this. Mayville Chautauqua Lions Annual Barbecue, Wednesday, July 15th, 2026, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. or sold out. Mayville American Legion 1, 44 South Erie Street, Mayville, New York. Pre-sale 15, at doors 16. You can pay by cash or check. It's going to be rain or shine. To purchase and reserve tickets, call or text 716-665-7432 for the barbecue. So that's all the announcements I have. And we're going to jump to a PSA, and then we're going to get a hold of our guest, which I know is running around the studio somewhere. Dun, 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 dun. So a PA there, Jeff? PA. Public announcement. He's getting it. Button number 3. I don't know.
I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
That one always gets me. Adopt a pet. I'm just thinking of playing in the sandbox when it might have actually been when I was a kid, but I survived. So, ladies and gentlemen, coming back to join us again, first time with me, the announcer, Mary Ellen Humphrey.
Hi, nice to be here.
And Mary Ellen is an author, and she is going to talk about a book she's written. She's written today, right? Wrote.
All of those.
All those. So welcome, Mary Ellen.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I know you're a local person now, but
Yeah.
how long have you lived in Chautauqua County?
I actually moved here almost 7 years ago.
7 years ago.
I can't believe how the time just flies by. I moved here from New Hampshire when I retired. And I want to say, first of all, happy birthday to us, the United States.
150.
Because we're 250 years old, somehow, depending on when you start counting. And I had told myself for many years I was going to write this book. I first became aware of this lady, this incredible woman, Mercy Otis Warren, in the late 90s. I had a cousin, he's since passed away, but he spent his whole life researching our family history. And he told me about Mercy Otis Warren, and he told me about all of his information and sent it to me. And I spent 2 years putting together a 600-page history of our family.
Wow.
And he had one paragraph in there, and I just want to share
Sure.
this one sentence that he said that just stood out to me, if I can find it here now that I've been sitting here thinking about this. He talked about Mercy and her brother. What did I do with that? Anyway, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be.
No problem.
I'll paraphrase what
You'll
he
find
said.
it, yeah.
So he said this one sentence in a paragraph that I put in the book that said, Mercy Otis Warren and her brother are considered by some people the two people most responsible for the Revolutionary War.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought that has to be hyperbole. That can't possibly
Yeah,
be
no.
true. But then later on, when I was in graduate school, I was assigned to write a story about someone who lived during the colonial period. So I went back to my history that I had written and read Reg's paragraph again, and I said, I'm going to find out who she was. Whoa. She was really remarkable. And so as I began to research this, and people like Cokie Roberts refer to her as a founding mother. It's not just me saying this, but there wasn't anything written about her before like 1970, that area. All the histories about the revolution were mostly about men. Very little was written about women. And then she was kind of discovered, and a number of biographies were written. She was included in several books, like I mentioned Cokie Roberts' book, Founding Mothers. And I thought, well, I wanted to write something, but a lot's been written, right? But what I discovered is, and it sort of came to me as we got closer to the celebration of our 250 years, and if I'm ever, because this is now 28 years later, if I'm ever going to write this book, I got to do it. But how am I going to do it? That was my question. I didn't want to do another biography, even though I had tons of information. Mercy Otis Warren wrote to everybody who was a principal, or almost everybody, of the Revolution. She wrote to John Adams and his wife Abigail. She wrote to Washington. She wrote to all these people, and she knew them. Their home in Barnstable, Massachusetts, was a meeting place where a lot of the plans, you could have said conspiracies back then, but the plans for the letters of correspondence, all this stuff, that the First Continental Congress were planned in her parlor. And she participated in this. She was a highly educated woman. Her father, he always felt that education was important, and he wasn't educated. He was self-educated, and he was self-conscious of that, so he hired a Princeton or Yale, I can't remember now, I think it was Yale, graduate to educate his children, including her. So she had a classic education. She was very intelligent and had this, so she engaged in all this conversation and shared her opinions. And so, how am I going to write a book about this? Well, she also happens to be a cousin. In her great-great-grandfather is also my great-great-grandfather.
Really?
In hers, 3 generations, and mine, 10. But that makes us distant cousins, like second cousins 8 times removed. So I thought, why not take her words, because they are preserved in the Massachusetts Historical Society. I have lots of copies of her letters. And then she also wrote the first history of the American Revolution. It was published in 1805 under her name. So I have her words. Why not create this correspondence between her and myself?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that would be different from what everybody else has done, and it would also be inspiring to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to do that this year because this is the anniversary of our country, and I've been working on it. I just finished it about 2 weeks ago. It'll be available. It's actually going to be available very shortly on Amazon, and I am going to be having a few copies of it at this expo that's coming up on August 2nd, which we can talk about a little later.
You want to talk about it now?
You
or-
want? Sure.
Sure.
Well, I
Jeff,
think
look
you.
at that poster for the expo.
So this, I was invited to participate in this expo, so I'm going to be there with her, some copies of her books, and also I'll have copies of some of the research books that I used in writing this. I mean, this is a almost 30-year project.
Yeah.
And but here's the thing: in doing this book, I'm reading her book, which is a history of the rise, progress, and termination of the revolution, and it's a history written from a female perspective who participated.
Back then you didn't see that either.
Yeah, I've never seen that. And she and her friend Martha Washington would ride horseback to the military camps outside of Boston where both their husbands were working. Mercy's husband was in charge of the finances of the military. And of course, Martha's husband, we all know, George, was in charge of the army. So they would go to visit their husbands, and she would also go to the places where conflicts were happening, almost like a reporter. And so she wrote this history, and I'm reading this, and I'm converting it into correspondence between her and myself, and I'm learning so much that I didn't know. I mean, I was a good student, but I wasn't a student of history. And so I'm learning so much about the revolution and what actually happened from her perspective.
So your history fair is Sunday, August 2nd?
Yes.
And where is it at?
It's,
Down the hall.
is that it's right
It's
here.
down the hall from our studio.
It's not my history, it's done by the Chautauqua County. And there's going to be a lot of booths there and a lot of people talking about different historical things.
I think it's free.
I think it is free, and
Free.
I think it'll be a lot
And
of
I
fun.
went last year and the place was packed
Good.
down to Flavanna Community Church. And so, thanks for the poster, Jeff.
So, her brother and her. So let me tell you a little bit about her brother. Her brother was James Otis. He was an attorney in Boston. And one thing I remember from my high school history class is no taxation without representation. He's the one who wrote that.
Really?
He wrote it in his argument against the writs of assistance, which was the horrible parliamentary bill that said all the colonists had to take in the soldiers and give them food and lodging. And so he was writing in opposition to that and said this notion of we need to have representation. And the colonies felt like they were British citizens. They had charters that they had operated under for a long time that said that they had certain rights. But all of the governors of these colonies were appointed by Britain, by the king or by Parliament. And so even though on paper they had supposedly the same rights, they weren't really feeling that. And so when the tax acts began to collect money, and logically Parliament had a legitimate reason to say, you need to help pay for the army that just protected you from these wars and these natives and all of these threats. And so there was a certain logic so Parliament could feel justified. But the colonies said, wait a minute, we don't have a say in this. We need to have a say. And so it wouldn't have been that hard if you go, looking back retrospectively, it wouldn't have been that hard to have resolved all this. And none of this war would have ever happened. But Parliament dug in, not the whole of them, but many of them dug in, and King George dug in and said, you guys don't have the right to rebel. We're gonna, it'll be over in a week, they said. Where have we heard that before?
Oh yeah.
And so.
Some things never change.
So anyway, I found myself drawn into this story. The further I read, the more I learned. I was like, wow. So I want to give you a couple of highlights.
Okay.
Okay, so in the early battle in Lexington and Concord, the very first officer of the colonial army that was killed was a fellow named James Warren, which happens to be her husband's name, but but it wasn't him. It was a different James Warren. He was a doctor, and he was really well loved, and he was the first officer killed, and so he became a hero. And we know we have Warren counties, we have Warren, PA, we have all these Warren places, and there are also at least 5 statues of him across the colonies because he was so heralded as a hero. And I never knew that. I drive around and I go to these places and I'm like, wow, so there's history that touches us right here. And then also the Tea Party, the Boston Tea Party. So when I was in school, I learned that they all dressed up in Native American costumes and they went down and threw the tea.
Oh, really?
That's what I remembered. But her account is quite interesting. So first of all, she was asked by her friend John Adams, the future president, to write a poem about having a tea, throwing tea in the ocean. So she came up with a poem called something about the sea nymphs, the squabble of the sea nymphs. Now, social media back then was the newspaper, right? Everybody read the newspapers. So he took her poem, she wrote it, and he took it to the Boston Gazette, and it was published, and it was published far and wide. And everybody loved this poem. Now, I read it today, and I'm like, what? Because it's very written, well, like Shakespeare or somebody wrote it. But here's the thing. When she wrote this poem, she talks about the heroes of the Tuscarora tribe, which was the Native Americans, the name for the Iroquois Indians, and how they dressed up and how they went down and they threw this baneful weed, which was the tea, into the harbor. So Mercy Otis Warren inspired the Tea Party, inspired these patriots to dress up as Native Americans and go down to the ship. Now, she talks a lot more about it. So before this happened, they had a meeting at a place in Boston, and the governor heard about it, and he sent word to close you're illegal, closing you down, and they threw the guy out. They hissed at him, she says. They hissed him out of the building, and so he left, and that's when they decided to march down and throw the tea in. But they're marching. Imagine this, all this tension going on. They're trying. The colonists are trying to get Parliament to understand their position, and they're reaching like the olive branch, like just throw us something. We don't really want to go to war.
Yeah.
And Parliament is taking this hardline stance of, we're going to crush you, we're not going to allow any rebellion. And part of their logic may be because they had colonies all around the world. And so here's this one upstart. What if that spreads? Which is in fact what actually happened. But at any rate, so they're marching down to the piers where the ships are, and all around them is the British Navy. Okay, so they go onto the ships and they break open the cartons and they throw valuable tea into the harbor. This wasn't cheap stuff. This was like I don't know how much it would be worth in today's money, but tea was the luxury of the colonies, and every family had tea. And so doing this was very symbolic. And tea, that was the only thing they were going to tax, because they had removed some of the others, because they wanted to kind of keep hold of that ability, that right that Parliament claimed to be able to tax.
So when you're talking about Tea Party, they used more than one ship?
No, there was one ship they threw the tea off of,
okay.
but all around them were these warships.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm saying, you know, I would have been scared, like, ah! Yeah. And so but they just watched. The ships did not try to stop them. And there's a couple of reasons she alludes to for that. And one is because a lot of the British felt that the colonists were like relatives, like co-citizens, like we're going to be firing on our own, right? And so there was a hesitancy to really want, on the part of many, to really, even some of the officers, to want to go to war. But of course, if you're ordered to, you will. And then there was the part of the colonists who wanted to demonstrate, to say, look, we're not going to pay your tax, no matter what. No matter what way you try to do it, we're not going to do it. And they were also a little afraid. You know, you have to realize they were. This was really a scary time. And so I never knew that a woman played such a big role in that very first act that really started the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like really surprised when I learned that. And she wrote other plays and other, we would call it political satire, but it was written to make fun of the British appointees, the commissioners, the governor. She had no use at all for Governor Hutchinson, who was the governor of Massachusetts at the time. And she does write that just before the war, he was shipped over to England because he was of no value to either the colonists or England. So she really knew how to dish people. So anyway, I learned so much in writing this, and I wrote it as a series of letters. And I have some excerpts in there. I included a letter she wrote because after the war was over, she details all the things in the war. And she talks about Benedict Arnold. She talks about other loyal spies like Nathan Hale and all these things. The stories are so real. And the characters, she talks about John Hancock, you know, who wrote this wonderful sign thing. Well, according to her, and now I'm saying according to her because there's different histories, but her perspective was that this man, the British governor, issued a proclamation that if people would relinquish their arms and reassert their loyalty to Britain, that he would pardon them all, except for two. Two, and one of them was John Hancock, because he was a rabble-rouser. And so the Continental Congress met and had to elect a president, and to stick it in the eye of the governor, they picked John Hancock. Well, I never knew that. Now this is according to Mercy, right? So am I running out? I don't want to run out of time. I can talk for a long time.
Kinds of time.
Okay.
I love this.
Isn't it interesting?
I mean,
I never knew this.
I wish you would have been my teacher back in school.
So I think this actually is a good way for learning history, because it's almost a conversation, you know, and from someone who had a feminine perspective. She doesn't whitewash the war. She tells the horrors that happened, and it was horrible.
Oh, I bet.
It was horrible. She talks about the Quebec Act, which I never realized that Canada almost could have been a colony. But Parliament did something right. They passed this act that said to the French, you can go back and have your French form of government, and you can be Catholic, which really upset. They had riots in London over this. But by doing that, they diluted the French joining the American Revolution. And so I'm like, oh my goodness. And I just visited Quebec and Montreal a couple years ago, and I went to these historic sites, but I never understood how powerful that was, you know? And so she talks about all this, and then she didn't stop with the war. After the war was over, there was a lot of discussion about the federal government. And you've heard of anti-federalist and federalist. And John Adams was a federalist. He believed in a strong federal government. And Mercy was very skeptical. She was an anti-federalist. So they butted heads big time. There are debates, and they had all these letters back and forth, and these were not short. These were multi-page letters in minute detail and dishing each other. You know, it was just amazing. It went on for several years. But she wrote a pamphlet called Observations on the New Constitution, and she published it under a pseudonym, a Colombian patriot. She never published anything under her name during this time. The only time she did was her history in 1805. And this, again, was published in all the newspapers, and it outlined all of the objections that she had, and a lot of other people shared, about this new Constitution. And if you take that document and the 10 Bill of Rights, almost identical.
Really?
So here's a woman who was influential in the addition of the Bill of Rights to our
Now,
Constitution.
back when she was there, was it you have to hide when you were meeting? You know, so
Well,
you-
it was
British
considered unmanly, which means a whole lot more than what we mean when we say unmanly today. It meant you can't be a woman in this society if you're interested in politics. So, but women were looking around and they were seeing this ideal of freedom, and it was appealing to them.
bet.
You know, her friend Abigail, they were very good friends, wrote to her after her husband dished her because she said, "Remember the ladies in the Constitution," and he said, "Don't be ridiculous. You know, why? You know, everybody wants freedom now." He was really kind of a jackass. But anyway, I shouldn't say that perhaps on the air. But anyway, but she wanted Mercy to kind of take up the cause with her, and Mercy did not do that. She had the opinion, from what I can discern, and it's not an obvious take on it, but she felt that women could be more influential behind the scenes, that they could be talking to the men, and that's what she did. And she was definitely influential. So she didn't join into the women's rights movement as much as her friend Abigail, but she was also a generation older and more ingrained in the society of the day.
It's
So,
crazy.
so I wanted to at least highlight those few things with you. Let me see, do I have anything else that might be of interest? Do you have any questions?
I'm just wishing you would have been my teacher in school. I was not good in history. A lot of it just was boring. And
Well, I never paid that much attention to history until later. I got involved in politics in my 40s. I was elected to the New Hampshire House and then the Senate. So I have an interest in politics, which I share with her. And I talk about us being cousins, not just genetically, but our interest. I have also pondered what role we women have. And in her time, it was very different because women didn't even have the right to own land. If you had a job and you had a paycheck as a woman, you had to give it to your husband. You couldn't make any decisions at all. You were really
like a slave to your
yeah,
husband,
you just really didn't have any rights. And she does talk at one point, she had 5 sons. One did die in the war, so she had an investment in this. And she talks about the importance of the outcome of this war because women were so dependent on the men in their family. And so she had a little bit of maybe an older viewpoint than her counterparts. But it is interesting to me. And I understand that after the Constitution was implemented, there was one colony, and I think it was New Jersey, where they didn't have gender-specific language. They just said, if you're a property owner, you can vote. So there were females who owned property who actually voted. For about 8 years, they voted. And then the men said, wait a minute, they're messing everything up, and they changed the language so they couldn't vote. So I do think
I
it's...
just can't believe living in a age like that.
It's only been about 100 years that women have had the, and when I say have had the right, women had the right. It's a right is a right. It just wasn't recognized officially in our Constitution so that we can enact it. But we always had the right. You know, it wasn't given to us by men. It was a right just like theirs is a right. And that sort of came home to me when I was in the legislature because we had a bill sponsored to recognize Women's Suffrage Day as August 26th, I believe, is when the 19th Amendment was approved, ratified. And it was kind of dismissed by all the members of the committee, the most men members of the committee. And I was sitting there and hadn't thought about the subject at all, but it just really galled me. So I raised my hand and I objected and I said, you know, first of all, I think this is pretty important. We're talking about half of the population here. Mm-hmm. And then somebody said, yes, we should remember when women were given the right to vote. And then I had to say my famous piece about we had the right. You guys just didn't recognize it. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that it took so long after, think about it. We had the Civil War, and still to this day, we have to recognize equality as human beings. We are all equal. Yeah. And that doesn't take away from one or the other. It's just we should be treating everybody with the same rights.
How do you feel that goes nowadays? You still think there's...
We have come a long ways, but we've taken a few steps back recently, which concerns me. You know, when you can start to say that women don't have a say over their own body, and I'm not trying to be political, but that's a step into that dark past when women were controlled and not free. So whatever your side is on that issue, it's a matter of freedom that I see, that women need to be as autonomous with their bodies, with their money, with their livelihood, with their passions and their dreams as anybody.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And you know what the sad thing is? When you hold one person back, you hurt everybody.
Yep.
There's so much that she had to contribute. Imagine if she had been a male and could have done this as a man. She might have been the first president. Who knows, you know? But she was restricted. Yeah.
So you got a cover, we got a picture of your book. Jeff, do you have the cover of the book? How long does it take to write a book like that now? There we go.
Well, I started this book in the early 2000s, so. But I honestly sitting down and a lot of it was research and figuring out the format of the book. It's a very unusual format to write it as a correspondence. But once I had that, it came fairly easily. I would say a year.
Really?
Yeah.
So we have the picture of the book, and we have some statues.
Yes,
Other pictures you brought with.
There's a statue of her. She lived in Barnstable, Massachusetts, and the statue is in front of the courthouse there. I went there a few years ago and in my research, and I took a picture of myself in front of her. There I am, with her statue. And her letters, as I said, have all been archived at the Massachusetts Historical Society. That was what she did. They just wrote to everybody. And she was a remarkable person, had 5 sons. She was born in 1728, died in 1814. She was one of 13 children, but only like 7 made it to adulthood. And I learned things about the culture and her growing up home in Barnstable. They had a side room off of the kitchen called the birthing room, where her mother had 13 babies. And it was because it could be warm in the wintertime, it was just a little room set aside for that purpose.
Yeah, furnaces back
then. It was, and of course that was, childbirth was a big threat to the health of women.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, most of the babies died in infancy. But she was third in the row. Her older brother wasn't all that interested in politics and didn't, but her second brother, James, whom she called Jemmy, he went to Harvard at the age of 14, goofed off for a couple years, then became serious, became an attorney, and they were very close. And Mercy didn't marry her husband until she was 26, which was quite old back then.
Back then.
Yeah, so, and her husband was a friend of her brother's, and he also enjoyed the intellectual discussions.
What's the book she's holding?
This is a proof copy of my book. It's the same book, but it's in the editing stage. Before I had this before it was finished. So it's about 400 pages, just under. What'd she say?
Somebody shared a letter with correspondence between the two. We're going to have a phone call there.
All right.
But if you want to find it.
I don't think I have time to read a whole letter. Let me see. Maybe I can.
Should be able to phone call here any minute.
So I asked her to describe the Tea Party in brief about how that all happened.
Linda's
You wanna
Telephone call.
take the call. It's fine.
Good morning, Linda.
Good morning. I know it's late. I don't want to interrupt anything. This is Linda Spalding. It's great to see your guest on the show. I just want to announce that this Wednesday, the Lions Club is having our annual chicken barbecue picnic at the American Legion. At the usual time, you could come in at 3, from 3 to 6, or until it's sold out. It's Widener's. It's a half a chicken and delicious baked potatoes and coleslaw, and people love it. And sometimes people go by and smell it, and it's absolutely exciting. At the Mayville American Legion this Wednesday.
And that's on the hill, right?
Pardon? Oh, yeah, they have all that.
American Legion's on the hill.
And the tickets are $16 a piece, or $15.50 in advance. So please come. It's the most delicious chicken, and it's a wonderful fundraiser, and we'll be serving chicken until we're sold out, or until 6 o'clock. But we're usually sold out before that.
Okay, Linda, thank you very much.
Okay, and thank you. I see your poster. Thank you.
Yep.
Do you have time for a short?
Have a great weekend.
Yeah. 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. This is when they had the meeting about the Tea Party. And within an hour after this was known abroad, there appeared a great number of persons clad like the Aborigines of the wilderness, with tomahawks in their hands and clubs on their shoulders, who without the least molestation marched through the streets in silent solemnity, and amidst innumerable spectators proceeded to the wharves, boarded the ships, demanded the keys, and with much deliberation knocked open the chest and emptied several thousand weight of the finest teas into the ocean. There the sword of civil discord was first drawn, which was not resheathed until the emancipation of the 13 colonies from the yoke of foreign domination. This is how she wrote. And I just found it fascinating.
It's been
yeah.
quite a time to live.
Yeah, I know.
Interesting. I don't know
Yeah.
how safe it was.
I don't think it was very safe.
Never know if you're going to...
It was frightening, but exciting.
We're going to come and...
So happy anniversary, or happy birthday
250
to us.
years.
To us, yes.
A lot's happened in 250
250 years, yeah.
See old TV shows of westerns. It's like, I see them. They're back in the middle 1800s. Look at the Bemis Point Stowe Ferry started in 1811. We were a county, and
Yeah.
all that happened. And
After.
they're having westerns, riding horses. And it's like,
Yeah,
it's interesting.
yeah. It
So,
is.
your book will be out when?
It's out now.
Oh, it's out now.
It's on Amazon, but I'll
Okay.
have some copies on the 11th
Oh,
if
yeah.
anybody wants
11th.
to.
You come to the history fair.
And I may do a couple of library appearances. I haven't decided yet. I'm just waiting to see what. I'm happy to, by the way, if anybody wants me to come and talk about this, I'm happy to do that.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm very passionate about it.
But stop up here at the old Mayville School, and
Yeah.
it's on the 2nd of August.
August 2nd.
I'm flying out later that day to
I'm not sure what time.
Price
Oh,
is Right land.
it's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, thank you very much for
Thank
coming.
you for having me. It was
I
fun.
enjoyed it. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And you do good, because I read one of your books and I couldn't put it down till I was
Oh,
done.
Thank
Some
you.
descriptions you had. Okay, you guys, Doc will be back next week. I'm taking it off. I want to thank Mary Ellen Humphrey coming in. She
Thank
brought
you.
a guest with her. Got an audience today.
guys.
And my son Justin on camera. Jeff at the controls. Chris somewhere out there. And Doc, good luck on flying back. I took a jet lag. I'm Randy Burt. And we're just waiting for the bye-byes. Here we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was great.
Sorry, I kind of went blank there for a while.
I did.